Cure Theater!
Joel, I have great news for you.
Oh, yeah?
They just released the 4Kids dub of Soaring Sky PreCure.
Amazing, incredible. Yeah. And they called it Pretty Sky for some reason. I don't know why.
They did. They called it Pretty Sky. And all of the characters have really unique accents. So I'm just going to play a quick clip of Mashiro for you.
Okay.
Oh, my stars and garters, Sora, our baby can fly.
Why, our little baby can't be flying around all this time. Oh, hey, give me those pictures of the Kabaton.
Oh, I do declare that Kabaton really ruffles my britches. Someone fetch me my smelling salts. I do believe I feel faint.
People at the country club are going to be talking about this piglet for quite a while. Quite a while, I say.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Ow!
7時30分発列車戦隊特急ジャーが発車いたします。お乗り遅れのないようご注意ください。
Hello, fellow partners. Hello, fellow friends. Hello, fellow buddies.
Pals?
Whatever. And welcome to...
Episode 5, Season 3 of Cure of the What Now? Hi-ya!
The one show where we know there is no one word strong enough to truly represent the pure love between girls. I'm your host, Kat, and I totally am not blowing off work to have some Odin. My boss is not going to get mad. I don't think they're going to catch me.
Especially not if there's some kind of omnipresent boss that can just see where you are no matter...
Oh, shit! Oh, no!
Wonderful. And I'm your co-host, Joel, and, you know, I wanted pancakes. What is this delicious 5-course meal with nutrients and delicious finishing sauce?
Joel.
Pancakes.
No, listen.
Pancakes.
Stop. Listen.
You're not even my real mom.
I'm not. I'm your wife. It would be weird if I were your mom, right?
Yeah, it would be a little weird.
You gotta eat your vegetables if you want to have the energy to podcast.
Oh,
I'm doing this out of love for you.
Okay. Thank you for the food. Not mom.
Documents. That was really weird. Do we have any news or announcements this week?
Just kind of a little short one. So I've mentioned a couple of times that I have been a guest. I've been graciously welcomed by the Piecemeal crew, but it turns out they were actually looking for someone else to sail the seas with them. Seals. Looking to sail the seas with them. And so from now on, I might be a regular contributor to the Piecemeal podcast. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of manga left to cover before it seems like this journey might end, but I'm going to try to make it a regular thing.
Saturday date night canceled. Now it's podcast time. That's not me complaining. I'm very proud of my husband.
Oh yeah, and I mean, Kat, you're welcome to join us as well. I just know that the last couple of times we've recorded, other real life things have gotten in the way, so you haven't been able to join this podcast.
Yes, unfortunately, somehow I became my parents' child who is expected to socialize with people despite having an anime podcast. You'd think they'd figure out that they have other children for socializing.
That's why you have multiple children, so they can specialize. This one's the warrior class, this one's the archer class, and this one's the thief class.
Oh, man.
Grace.
Anyway, no, super proud of Joel. The Piecemeal folks are a great group, and if you have any interest in One Piece at all, they also kind of did the starting from the beginning and going volume by volume thing like we did with the anime.
Absolutely, and it's a mix of characters who know what's going to happen and a mix of characters who don't know what's going to happen.
When they're real people, we don't say characters, we say people.
No, we're all playing a character on the podcast. Like, I'm not actually Joel. My name is Luke, and I just take the form of Joel when it's time to podcast, because saying my name is sacred in at least 7 countries.
So you're gonna have to go, like, do a cleanse.
Only people say my name. Wait, I hear someone saying my name. I'll be right back.
That's all for news and announcements. Moving on to our discussion question this week. Joel, did you get some super fun, interesting feedback from our folks?
Of course. I posted this in our Discord, link to which is in my Twitter bio. Gosh, I hope that the Twitter ship doesn't explode, because I don't know where I'm going to put, how to find us if our Twitter suddenly goes down. But I asked, what unique or rare powers would you give your own PreCure or wish to see in an upcoming seasons or cures? And we got a couple of responses from regular contributors, regular listeners, Talemon and James, that one welder guy. Talemon wanted to give his or future cures either a Kamehameha from the famous shonen anime Dragon Ball Z, a giant mech or transformation, or guns in all capitals. Now, I assume that he means he would take the military unit from the Sonic series, GUN, and transpose them into a PreCure season.
Honestly, I think Sonic is rife for PreCure crossover potential.
Yeah, I think so.
Can you imagine cream and cheese as PreCure? Because I can. I mean, clearly, cheese would not be a PreCure. He would be the fairy.
Wait, Cream's a boy?
No, cheese is a boy.
Really?
Cream is a girl, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I knew Cream was a girl because who has bunny boys in this day and age, honestly?
Cream the rabbit.
Get that out of
You
your
can
mouth.
bleep that out, I'm
going to
sorry.
bleep that out. But no, I mean, and all the different characters are color-coded for your convenience. They have different abilities, or at least to some extent they do, so... But no, I would say, I don't know what seasons Talemon has seen, because sometimes we mention a character or whatever, and it seems like maybe Talemon's like, oh, I don't know who that is, but it also seems like they've seen other seasons that maybe we haven't. But if you're looking for PreCure with guns, I mean, technically, the Delicious Party Girls had, like, fruit mixer type guns.
Yeah, they had their juicy blasters. That sounds weird, but that's what they're called. I'd also like to point you in the direction of Madoka Magica.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I just want to say, we shouldn't get too Madoka sidetracked. Listen to our Madoka episode if you haven't. It's my best work, and Joel made fun of me because I took it very seriously.
Homura Academy.
Using her guns is so cool to watch.
It really is. Well, and Mommy's power is specifically guns. That's how Akemi chooses to use her powers. Spoilers for the fact that she has powers. That's how she chooses to use her powers, but that's the only trick that Mommy has up her sleeve. So, anyways. I also thought it was interesting because I'm going back and re-listening to our discussion questions from Season 2. I put them into a compilation, and they will be uploaded soon to YouTube. And we actually asked when we pitched a season where they had mechs. And so that's going to be in the first couple of episodes. I think it was episode 2 where we described that. Now, Kamehameha, do you imagine that Talemon meant as something other than a finishing move, or do you think that was like their purifying attack, as they would have a named attack where they charge up power in?
I think that would be a finishing move, and to that I have to say marble screw, right?
Yeah, that's kind of very similar, absolutely.
Yeah, that's like the cute girl version of a Kamehameha. Kamehameha and Spirit Bomb, same or different?
Same show, different technique.
Different attacks.
Yeah.
Okay, for some reason I was like, isn't the Kamehameha like all of the love of the people? But no, that's the Spirit Bomb. The
Spirit Bomb, yeah. The Kamehameha is the turtle wave blast that Master Roshi developed and Goku learned. Here's a fun fact. So Kamehameha wave, Japanese, it means turtle wave blast. Kame is turtle, and then Hime, I guess, would have to be wave. I don't speak Japanese very well, and then Ha might be blast. But one of Goku's children, Goten, didn't learn how to pronounce it properly, and so he doesn't use the Kamehameha wave, he uses the Kame wave, so his attack is the turtle blast. I think that's really adorable.
That's cute. I like that a lot.
I like the idea of PreCure that can learn martial arts and have their own different styles. I don't think that PreCure is going to do it. Honestly, if I was looking at these 3 suggestions that Talemon made, and I were to rate them by how likely they were to actually happen, guns is really unlikely. They are not going to do that unless it's some kind of like shoots popsicles or shoots love beams. Mechs, probably not really, but I could see that being more likely than guns, especially if you have, like, male characters. They might get some kind of, like, suit of armor type thing. And then Kamehameha Blast, we basically already have that, as you pointed out. Several finishing moves have been laser beams, but I could see a version where there's, like, 3 cures, and one of them is, like, the judo girl, and one of them is, like, the karate girl, and one of them's, like, a boxer, like Muay Thai or something.
That's cute. I like that a lot. I really like the idea, and this is sort of something that one welder guy James said. He said a power like Dio's the world.
The world! Yeah.
But I like the idea of, Persona 5 or Stans and magical girls. So it wouldn't be exactly JoJo's, but you know how like Buki has the healing prayer?
Yes.
So I'm imagining like the girl does like a prayer and summons this like animal spirit that can fight
It's like a
her.
pink elephant that has like a bow in its hair, but it has like a trunk of devastation.
Right, exactly. And then like halfway through the season, the upgrade could be like the animal spirit like covers them and they get, mode fox or whatever.
Okay.
And then they fight with the animal spirit strengthening them.
Absolutely. You and I should watch Zatch Bell sometime.
Or Naruto. I'm describing what I'm imagining in my head. I'm basically trying to describe Naruto with the fox aura.
Okay, yeah. I was about to say Sage Mode when he has the frog eyes, but I don't think you've actually seen an episode where he uses that.
I saw one when we did our bonus episode.
Fair enough. Look, if you like Naruto, that's great. It's a popular series, so it obviously has its appeal. I personally kind of fell off of Naruto, and I would not subject you to a series that long that I didn't personally care for. Zatch Bell is shorter, and there's a specific character who I'm thinking of who kind of matches your description of what you're describing.
That's cool.
So, Time Stop Powers is, again, not one that I would think that they would ever introduce into PreCure. They might do it as a bad guy. They might have a bad guy who can temporarily freeze time, and the girls have to use the power of friendship to overcome the time stop or whatever. But, can you, I don't know, it feels like it only really has one use. Bad guy's about to hit you, you stop time, you hit them 50 times, you unstop time, they're like, oh, that was a lot of punches, and they go flying off into space.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right about it being better as a bad guy power, and this is kind of coming from, it's not Healing Good, Hugto. Hugto PreCure was about, reaching for our tomorrow, right? And moving toward the future. So if you had a villain who could stop time, they'd be taking your future from you.
Absolutely.
And so that would kind of be the struggle there. But if the PreCure could stop time, maybe they're, freezing the smiles so that the bad guy can't take them, and then they fight the bad guy in this, time bubble, like how the Delicious Field.
Yeah, I could see that. We also got one more suggestion from James, that one welder guy. The power to cook any style of egg perfectly. Now, what if you could purify the monster of the week using different types of eggs, and different types of monsters require different sorts of recipes? And then what if in their hour of need, in the 11th hour, when the bad guys amass all of the negative egg stones or whatever, and created the giant monster that cannot be purified, what if they have to rely on all the people in the town to, set up this giant fryer from end to end, and they're all cooking eggs at the same time, and they do give me your energy type spirit bomb attack, except they're all throwing scrambled eggs up into a giant bucket, and then the PreCure throws it into the monster's mouth.
What's the word that just means city when you add it to the end of?
Oh, I don't know. We'd have to ask AU. I'm sure. It might be Ga you ended the sentences. I'm gonna get it completely wrong.
Okay. We're just gonna say it's Ga just for the sake of the joke.
Yeah.
People of Tamaga, lend me your eggs.
Tamago Ga.
Absolutely. Did you have any other thoughts for this discussion question?
I do have one. I guess it's kind of two. It'd be interesting to see a PreCure with a healing factor, although in order for that to work, the girls would have to take more damage other than scuffs on their clothes or de-transform or something. So I don't know if that works with the current model of PreCure. But the other ability that I think could work out, and honestly, this might be how Hana's power works from Hugto. We haven't seen Hugto yet. But it would be kind of interesting if you had a cure who could, give their energy to another cure, so they'd be more support, and so they wouldn't fight directly, but they would kind of be able to pick one of their teammates and be like, oh, this bad guy is like an ice creature, it's a giant evil refrigerator, and one of our cures is red and has fire powers. I will lend her my power, and then Fire's or Red's powers would be even stronger for that fight or something like that.
I like that a lot. I really feel that's how Buki should have been used.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I could see that.
Because her whole thing is prayer, so she should have been a support paladin.
Absolutely.
Or cleric. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
We play D&D.
Oh yeah, I know goblins and tieflings.
Tiefling.
That's a real thing.
There you go. That's a word.
Drist udurau doo.
How dare you? Drist du Erden.
Oh, du Erden. Okay. Also, I want to put this at the front of the episode, so we'll get into it when we get to Calls to Adventure, but someone was mentioning that we should cover Hugto if we haven't yet. I forget that, every episode might potentially be a new person's first episode of our podcast, so Kat and I have made a promise that we are not going to cover Hugto on the podcast until we have covered every season leading up to it. So far we have not finished Splash Star, we have not finished Happiness Charge, we haven't watched the Japanese version of Smile, the original Smile, we've only seen the Glitter Force version, and we have not seen either of the Go-Go, or Yes, PreCure 5, and Yes, PreCure 5 Go-Go seasons. So unless we watch Yes, PreCure 5 and Go-Go, like, side by side, or we double up, like, how quickly we watch it, it's going to be, like, another 2 years before we get to Hugto, unfortunately. But when we get to it, and there might or might not be crossovers, we want to be able to be like, oh, that's the girl who's in that episode where she got turned into a cocoon! Or whatever happens in Yes, PreCure.
It's amazing how when you think about how each season has roughly 50 episodes and there are 20 years worth of seasons.
Yeah, that's 1,000 episodes.
That's a lot.
There's
of PreCure.
almost as many PreCure episodes as there are One Piece. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Some people are like, wow, One Piece is too long, and yet you've seen every season of PreCure, so I don't think it's that much of a time commitment.
I was talking to somebody out the other day who was like, oh, I'm scared of One Piece, and I was like, start watching it, and you'll like it so much that you won't notice it's 1,000 episodes.
Yeah,
anyway,
absolutely.
This is not a One Piece podcast. Wouldn't it be something if we had one of those?
If we had a One Piece podcast, we would just have so many thoughts to share with everyone.
Sure would be wild. Going back to PreCure, do you have succinct summaries for us?
Yes. Now, there was someone who, I got some show notes last time that maybe perhaps I went over time for some reason, that I was being overly detailed in my succinct summaries. So I'm going to show you the future that you want to see. This week, we watched Soaring Sky 5, Splash Star 5, Happiness Charge 6. Next week, we will be watching Soaring Sky 6, Splash Star 6, but instead of Happiness Charge 7, we're going to be watching the PreCure All-Stars New Stage 3 movie. I don't have the subtitle of that written down, but it's the third of the All-Stars New Stage movies.
Excellent.
So, Soaring Sky 5, Kabaton's final chance, Sora wants to carry the burden alone. Moving on.
Wow.
Splash Star, Saki thinks Mai's brother is hot, Kenta gets jealous, but then they make up. Moving on. Happiness Charge 6. Ribbon cooks for Hime. Hime is unappreciative. Yuko teaches Hime about cooking. Hime learns a lesson. The day is saved. And those have been your succinct summaries.
Amazing succinct summaries as always, but you did lose points for stumbling on the finish.
Hime homa hama. Hime waba baba baba.
That's a pretty cool song. I take back point reduction.
We're gonna release the remix version on Cotwin Side B. And we'll have a total of 2 videos on our side channel.
Side note, since we're talking about points, I'm really into dogs and dog training. Dog obedience is weird, and you get docked points for stupid things. Like, in the higher levels of obedience, you have to throw a dumbbell over a jump, and your dog has to go over the jump and not touch the jump and pick up the dumbbell and bring it back to you without, like, chewing on the dumbbell on their way over. And, like, that is just so specific.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're looking for a very specific thing that you've trained your dog to do, and that they shouldn't do any of these other things that naturally occur to dogs. But honestly, if you're into dog training or you don't know where to start or whatever, there's one version called Rally, which is much more laid back and I think is more my speed compared to, is it called Trick, where you have to, like, do the tricks exactly?
No, that's just obedience.
Oh, okay.
I really am into dog training, but I also like to have fun with my dog, so I prefer to do the sports where I can see my dog having fun.
Absolutely. For Gigi, our Australian Shepherd, she loves agility. And she loves doing tricks as well, so maybe obedience would work for her, but I don't think that she would have fun having to be exactly 3 centimeters from her leg. That's not quite her speed.
No, doing Rally, where it's rapid fire, like, now we're turning left, now we're turning right. Can you do a spin? You can! You're incredible! But this is not a Gigi the Dog podcast.
No, absolutely. It seems that I created a power vacuum by having my succinct summaries be so succinct. Have them like, you know what? Let's put some dog training filler in here to pad it out so it's the right length.
Sure, man, sure. Yeah, that's what happened. Let's talk about Splash Star. So like you said, this episode was kind of about Saki discovering Mai's older brother, but it was really more about her relationship with Kenta. So they have this very adversarial relationship going on where they pick at each other, basically, right? Like typical young preteens who like each other. And when she gets a crush on Mai's brother, she's carrying this book around that he gave her and she's all happy. And then Kenta accidentally spills tea on it. And she goes, I'm never talking to you again. You ruined this book.
Yeah, she goes full, like, cold shoulder to the point where, like, Mai's like, is everything okay? You're being really mean to Kenta.
I felt like this was a really mean episode. Like, I know she learned a lesson by the end, but just the sheer extent of her, I'm not even going to stop to listen to you apologize. F you.
Yeah, absolutely. At the same time, we've talked about how some episodes feel, like, realistic and some episodes feel like it's a fantasy where they fight giant flying trains or whatever. But I feel like this one felt very close to, like, something that would happen to me in middle school or, like, junior high types of things. And so, like, it's realistic, but it is also pretty sad because, like, Kenta clearly didn't do anything, like, truly wrong. Like, he knocked over a teacup, which is something that I have done on occasion, and it seems like he's being acted like he murdered the family cat.
Yeah, Saki definitely blew it out of proportion. I do think it's cute how when she's looking for a replacement for the book, she hears him replacing it, and she's like, oh, he's trying. I guess I better be a decent person.
He goes to like 11 on a scale of 1 to 10 for like, please give me a book. Please, my friend's going to kill me. And she's just like, no, it's okay. I'll forgive you. It could not be more obvious that these two like each other. Honestly.
Do they like each other?
Yes, that's what I mean. They like each other. Do you like me? They'd probably put maybe because they're not willing to admit it yet. But there's a moment, Kenta gets knocked out when the bad guy shows up, when Karahan possesses a bunch of books. And then when he wakes up, Saki's like really close to him. And he's all like, you're too close, because girls have cooties, right? She might bite him or touch his hand, gasp. And then at the very end of the episode, they're kind of sniping each other back and forth while Mai's there. And Mai goes, wow, you two, you know what they say, the more you fight, the closer you are together. And Saki has this like embarrassed expression. She's like, it's not like that. Yeah, you two like each other. Just go get married.
Other things we learned in this episode, Saki is very dumb, and Mai's older brother is very smart and likes the stars.
Yeah, absolutely.
He gives her a book on astronomy.
Yes.
I always have to make sure that I'm not saying the one that's like made up horoscope stuff.
Astrology, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But he really likes astronomy, and so he gives her this book on the stars, and she starts reading it, and she goes, I don't know what any of
it's about like how the sun is an incandescent mass of giant nuclear fusion or whatever the case is.
The sun is a mass of incandescent gas.
And she's like, I don't understand any of these words.
Absolutely.
So, now, I do want to point out once again that Karahan possesses a bunch of books, and then he uses that to create a giant book Uzaina. They are very explicitly saying, like, oh yeah, he only controls wood, which we already know from the episode where he created what did he create? A cicada. And we're like, how does that make sense? But we have a couple of calls to adventure that explicitly mention that, so I just want to say, like, yes, he creates a swarm of books, and they have a hard time fighting it, because every time they punch the big book monster, it just turns into a bunch of smaller books. But that's kind of it for Splash Star.
Yeah, I don't know that I really have any other thoughts. Like, the monster of the week was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on to Happiness Charge.
Also a mean episode. Honestly.
Yeah. So like you said, Ribbon cooked for Hime, and Hime was an ungrateful little brat, and she was rewarded for her shittiness, is basically what this episode was.
Yeah. So Hime acts like a princess, and I mean, as far as we can tell, she actually is a princess of her hometown, unless, that's some kind of like misdirection. She just calls herself Cure Princess because she wishes she was a princess. I don't know. But She's basically like, hey, Ribbon, make me food, and she has, like, no manners whatsoever, and she's just like, ugh, I can't believe you didn't make the thing that I wanted to make. And they have a big fight, and Megami kind of acts like they're both in the wrong. She's like, hey, Ribbon, you want to apologize to Hime. It's like, Ribbon didn't do anything wrong. She probably wants to be on good relationships with Hime, but Hime's the one who effed up, so, like, it's on her. But luckily, we have the nice honey candy girl who teaches her to appreciate food and the love that goes into cooking. And how how important prep work is. You really gotta slice those potatoes, skin those potatoes. Peel those potatoes in order for the food to be delicious.
If your potatoes have skin, I'm afraid that you're cooking something else.
You might have accidentally given a drop of blood to the Necronomicon or whatever it was called.
Absolutely. I think Yuu Yuu is really cute in this episode. She once again displayed that her main purpose is to feed Hime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hime is hungry.
Feed Hime.
Player Hime needs food badly.
Amazing. I did say last episode I kind of want to do like a fashion walk section of each Happiness Charge episode, so long as we're continually getting new outfits. And this week we got 2 more. We got Hime in a chef outfit, who helped, again, prepare the potatoes.
I loved Yuu Yuu's reaction. Did you change your clothes for this?
You're really fired up. Absolutely. And then we also got her macadamia hula dance, which, in case you couldn't tell, is a transformation during battle, because, again, they have civilian transformations and then, like, special attacks. And this one has a kind of relaxing effect on everyone around her. It works on Megami / Cure Lovely. It works on Ribbon. It works on frickin' Namakelder. And it works on the
Terrabads and the Kinda Bads.
Kinda Bads. I was going to say the semi-bads, the little bads. That's not what they're called. They're called something else.
The semi-bads.
The half and half bads.
You got a bad over there? No, just a semi.
Oh my goodness. How did you like these new outfits?
They were cute. I think that the hula dance outfit is probably my least favorite, not because it isn't good, but because the other ones are just so great.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we have a call to adventure from James that he really, or no, maybe that was you. Someone liked the hair of the hula dance Hime form.
Yes, that was me. She looks like Cure Felice.
Absolutely. I love it. And I love the fact that it worked on Namek Calder, and we have like a screenshot of him like floating into the sky being like, that's so relaxing.
It reminds me of when, oh gosh, what's her name? The scorpion bad guy from Heartcatch got Fuad.
Yes. Oh, why can't I remember her name? I know who you're talking about, though. But yeah, absolutely.
Probably because she was the least cool general.
Yeah. Well, and she had the least amount of character to her as well. But we've already talked about that in a previous episode. Or do you have any other thoughts from Happiness Charge?
I don't think so. You've got a picture of Namakelder here labeled Creep Alert. You want to tell me what that's all about?
Look, like, he just has a creepy look on his face. The shadow's like half over his eyes. He's kind of grinning in this kind of malicious way. His eye is kind of like narrowed to kind of like almost like a slit. And it really looks like he's going to try to like eat the PreCure or something. Or that he's going to like take their sandwich and just like sniff it or something. Like he's just being weird. You know what I'm saying?
Like what you just said.
Yeah.
As opposed to any of the other creepy things you could have said.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was 10 out of 10.
Sometimes you take someone's sandwich, you're like, is it pepperoni? No, it's pastrami. Yum, 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 yum.
Netflix is you.
No, do not look up Netflix is you. If you're into PreCure, it's like they're diametrically opposed.
It's not a good show for anyone who likes nice, cute things.
Absolutely.
It's not a show for anyone who likes good things, really, at this point.
Absolutely. The very first time we ever saw Megami get a outfit transformation due to her PreCure powers, she became a detective, and she had a magnifying glass that could actually like create footprints and like magically guide her to the clues that she needs. And so my question to you is, what special ability does Hime get when she puts on the chef outfit?
She got a frying pan that can perfectly cook any style of egg.
Oh my god, James is psychic! He predicted this episode! I like to think that she can chop, like, super fast. Like, she has a knife that's just like...
I love that. She clearly can't peel potatoes any better.
No, that's one of her weaknesses. But at one point, we also get in the battle, the bad guy's about to punch Hime. She creates a shield that kind of blocks it for a second. Namakelder's like, that's never going to hold. And then Megami jumps in and she creates her own shield. And he's like, I can still beat this shield. And then Ribbon does a thing. She goes up and she creates her own shield, which actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, might be a precursor to the Healin' Good pets creating their shield.
Yeah, I was going to say Rabarin doing her shield. This walked so she could run. I love it when the fairies are useful.
Yes, exactly. Like, Okay, listen, I hate Mipple and Mepple. I think I've made that perfectly clear. But, like, they're still cute in their own right. But when it comes to the battle, they basically are just the transformation accessory. So I really appreciate it when it feels like they have, like, this partnership and they might sometimes have to rely on Tarte or Chiffon or Ribbon in this case. And I thought that was really cool.
Absolutely. We got a call to adventure about Tarte that I want to call out when we get to that section. You just reminded me, so I'm going to keep that in the back of my brain cavity.
Absolutely. And I do have one last thought that is kind of maybe a longer form discussion. Maybe it won't be. I don't know. But I like that in this episode, we get Hime actually getting stronger. I believe at one point when the shield's up that I just described, I think there's like kind of like a blast of light and it like deflects the bad guy. And I think Namakeller says like, she got stronger. I feel that every PreCure season, the girls get stronger as the season goes on, and it's because of their deepening bonds and their deepening sense of duty. Like, they're basically growing into their power. They're learning what responsibility is. They're learning what it means to protect the weak, that kind of a thing. But I think, to my memory, this might be the best episode for showcasing its actual literal power. Like, because Hime learned to appreciate the food and the amount of love that Ribbon gives her, that gave her the power to create an extra big shield. And I really like actually showing it. I feel like other seasons we've watched, the girls do a bigger punch, but they don't really tell you that. You're just supposed to assume that because it's episode 30 that they're doing a bigger punch, but we actually saw the shield get bigger as Hime was having her realization.
Absolutely. And I hope we continue to see Hime grow in this way throughout the episode, because we're told at the beginning of the series she's...
Throughout the episode? We already saw growth in this episode.
Series. We're told at the beginning of the series that she is strong, but she's selfish, and her selfishness holds her back.
Yeah.
So we should be able to see a version of Hime in the future who's not selfish and just, like, lays waste to the Terabad nation.
Listen to me very carefully. If you like Hime's transformation or her growth as a character, you should watch One Piece, because Usopp is the secret heart of the crew, and in this essay, I shall. But anyways...
You should draw Hime with Usopp's outfit and weapon.
Oh my gosh. Cure Princess with the Soga King mask.
Cure Soga King.
Lulu la la loo.
See, watch One Piece. One Piece is a great time. Anyway, I think that's all the thoughts I had on Happiness Charge. Is there anything else you wanted to share?
I don't think so. Are you ready for the gayest of the 3 episodes we watched this week?
I'm ready.
Like, listen, you've heard of PreCure gay, but you're not prepared for PreCure super gay.
My hatches are battened.
There's a storm a-coming. Oh no, look, it's a storm a-coming. I don't know what accent this is. It
like
just kind of happened.
Weird Italian.
It was like the Mario Italian mixed with like maybe a little bit of Middle East, like a spice of Middle Eastern.
Spaghetti Western too seriously. You did like a weird Italian cowboy.
Oh, Mario, they're gonna get us with the straight pasta.
Oh, it's My Little Pony.
Oh, they're gonna spaghetti our children.
Spaghetti about it.
Okay, sorry.
I forgive you. Our Italian listeners may not.
I understand that.
All right, so I really liked that this episode was about Sora's... It's not trauma exactly, but the burden she's placed on herself by her desire to be the hero.
Yes, absolutely. And it's that, but it's also the fact that this is secretly about how she's never had a friend. So she understands the concept on paper, but she's never actually had a friend. And now that she has a friend, she's like, hey, don't go into battle. Kabaton might kill you. But it turns out that PreCure are stronger together. Like, this was a beautiful episode, whether or not you kind of squee every time that PreCure does a kind of a gay thing on screen. I personally, I really like that. But in addition to that, it's good symbolism, and you have this great dichotomy between Kabaton and Sora. Kabaton, I didn't describe this as a succinct summary because it was too succinct to include any details, but he goes to an Odin bar, and as kid-friendly as they can make it, they do the businessman who's worked, or the salaryman who's worked too hard, drinks after work because he's driven to drink by his work. But Kabaton's really, like, upset. He gets communicated with by a mysterious woman, ? We have to talk about that. But he basically gets frightened into, this is your last chance. So he goes all out. And Sora, this is not really her last chance, but she also needs to prove her strength so that she doesn't need to endanger Mashiro. So they're direct opposites. They both want to be as strong as possible. And one of them eats until they're bursting with food in order to become stronger, and the other one just pushes Mashiro out of the way. It's like, let me handle this.
Yeah, but eventually accepts the power of friendship. I love that when the purple light took over the area that Kabaton was in, the Odin man was included and could hear her. And all he said was that your boss? That sounds rough.
I just...
like, he's not shaken by a talking pig, and he's not shaken by whatever the... that was. Odin man stay winning.
Odin man's like, I've honestly seen worse, you know. The workers here are pretty, you know, they're worked very hard.
Yeah, absolutely. So shout out to him, secret MVP of this season of PreCure. He might end up in the running for MVP in the PreCure Awards.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
So we'll have to note that down. Kabaton was intense in this episode. He ate all the food, and then he said, I'm going to put all the calories from the food into my... it's not a Zetsaborg. Ramborg.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think one of us, like, actually theorized out loud was how his strength works. I think it might have been me. But, so he puts all the calories he ate into this Ramborg, and he gets this super awesome giant train, and he becomes, like, fit.
Yeah, I mean, his face looks...
skeletal.
It looks, like he used up too much of his strength. But, like, it just shows, like, the desperate level to which he's going. And they kind of alluded to this a little bit, right? They had the episode where he ate the mushroom, and what he said before he ate it is, this will give me the power to make a stronger Ramborg. So, like, the show was kind of hinting at the fact that maybe food is power for him. And we also get confirmation. He's every time he's fought the PreCure, he's always been like, that's too weak and I'm strong. And in this episode, we get confirmation that, like, he knows he's an idiot. He's like, my brain, not very good, but my muscles, I can rely on that. That's when he's talking to the Odin guy. And so I appreciate that, like, he's a Saturday morning cartoon villain. He thinks that strength is literal and that he has to do it all himself. And, like, our guy is not long for this world, I don't think. Like, he is going to be taken out, especially with the scary woman being like, this is your last chance.
I'm almost surprised there wasn't, like, some kind of post-credits Kabaton sting.
Absolutely.
We very rarely get those on PreCure, but I try to look out for them because could happen.
I feel like Delicious, or not Delicious Party, the other Delicious Party, Kira Kira PreCure, all of my longest PreCure series title ever, had occasional episodes that would end with, like, a boot coming down right in front of, you know, the other bad guy who just got defeated and being like, you failed again, Julio.
Right, exactly. He also looked at L and said, Itadakimasu.
Yes! So the way they translated it in the subtitles in Crunchyroll was like, finally I'll get that baby, but I heard Itadakimasu. Is he going to eat that baby?
He was licking his lips like he's gonna eat the baby.
Oh my gosh. Is that cannibalism, or does it not count because he's a pig guy?
Yeah, he's not a man.
Okay, well, I don't know.
I mean, his gender is man, but his species is not human.
Yeah, absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
Pig man.
Pig male.
Pugman.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see where Kabaton goes. One other really quick note. So he summons a giant flying train Ramborg, and it goes from express to, like, super express to, like, ultra express or something throughout the episode. But the Ramborg picks up Kabaton and, like, throws it in the Ramborg's head, also the front carriage of the train. And Kabaton just, like, puts on a little conductor's hat, and he has that throughout the episode. He keeps getting on, like, the PA system being like, attention citizens, I'm going to destroy you. And I thought,
please,
like,
stay behind the white line.
Like, that's what makes a Saturday morning cartoon villain. It's not just that he's, like, simplistic and kind of two-dimensional. It's the fact that, like, he's also goofy in addition to being threatened.
You're a villain. You're just not a super one. What's the difference? Presentation! Oh, man. I wanted to do a bit at the beginning of this episode about how we were just watching ToQger.
Oh, yeah. We could splice that in.
Can we have the opening for this episode be the go for it? Go from Tokuger, the opening?
Maybe. I don't remember that, but yes. I'll
send it to you.
Excellent, thank you.
Oh man, I don't want to get on a Tokuger tangent, but it's so good. It's the best Sentai season. Moving on.
Absolutely.
Who do you think the person yelling at Kabaton is? Do you think it's the big boss?
So, yeah, I wrote that down as something to discuss. Is it going to be the next general, the person who replaces Kabaton, or is this the big boss that has a couple of other Mega Man bosses to send out before it's time to face her? And I think it's most likely that this is the big boss of all of the generals, and that she has someone else she's going to send in next week when Kabaton has failed.
I agree, and I think her threats and Kabaton's fear make me think that, like, Kabaton is just a regular pig that she granted magic and sentience, and I think she's going to take the rock out of his head and he's just going to be a regular pig again.
Go back to being a tiny little piglet. Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about this before, but as we mentioned in this very episode, sometimes folks have not listened to all past, 93 episodes or however many it's been. I personally, if I were in charge of writing a PreCure season, I prefer it when they treat their enemies, the generals, like they are people who have gone wrong. You kind of get that with, is his name? Yeah, Graves from Kira. He basically says, like, you think that I'm someone who was good and turned bad? No, I just want to be bad. And you kind of get that with Kobraja and Kumojaki from whichever season that was, the season with Moonlight. Heartcatch, thank you. Not Happiness Charge, or any of the other HC seasons that exist. I kind of am headcanoning, and I know we normally talk about future episodes later, but I'm headcanoning that Kabaton will be around next episode, but he will be the butt monkey trope to whoever the new general is. Big Crocodile Man or whatever, right? And Big Crocodile Man will be like, Kabaton, you're such a loser. And Kabaton will be like crying, or he'll be like upset, or he'll be acting like, like a dog that got hurt or something, kind of licking his wounds. And I really want Sora and Mashiro to be like, look, Kabaton, you tried to kidnap a baby. We're afraid that you might try to eat the baby. That's questionable, but like, no one deserves to be treated like this, and I really hope they extend a hand of friendship to him. Even if he would then get blasted from behind by Big Sexy Crocodile Man.
Absolutely. So I can see Sora saying something like, a hero never turns her back on someone who's suffering.
Yes, exactly. I think that's such a beautiful thing for PreCure. I think that they should emphasize in PreCure the fact that they are empathetic heroes compared to, like, the Gokus and Vegetas who just blow people up instead of, like, trying to, like, reason with them and that sort of a thing. Although, to be fair, they were fighting creatures who were, like, specifically designed to destroy all of humanity. There's a balance here, right? You can't argue with the gray goo, but if there's a person who got kind of bullied into being a bad guy, maybe there's hope for them to redeem themselves.
Absolutely. I just noticed, going through thoughts for the crew really quick, that AU did not confirm or deny that sewer gators could be a trope in Japan as well. So I'm still holding out for my sewer gator bad guy in this season.
I think that the next one we get is going to be stronger than Kabaton. So I'm thinking, like, it's going to be an animal that's more dangerous than a pig, and pigs are already pretty kind of scary against a human.
You're telling me it could be Stronga Conga?
We got to talk about a couple more things from this episode that were kind of not included in the Succinct Summary.
Some favorite scenes or quotes, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of this episode... Well, no, hang on. Let me set the scene first. So, Sora's been acting weird all episode. She's, been having nightmares. Mashiro knows about the nightmares. There's one part where she gets really upset with Grandma Yo-Yo being like, why can't you just send me back to Skyland right now? This is taking too long. And we know it's because she's worried about Mashiro's safety, but Mashiro doesn't know that, so Mashiro keeps being like, can you just talk to me, please?
I just want to throw out there that her dreams are dark, too. Like, she sees Mashiro die.
Yeah. Heavily implied death. But then there's a scene where Sora explains, she's like, look, I don't want to put you in danger. You're my friend. And Mashiro, they start running from the train rambork, and Mashiro's like, okay, I'll stop being your friend. And you're like, oh, Mashiro and Sora are breaking up? And she goes, let's be partners instead. And Sora's like, partners? And she goes, what about duo? What about... And she goes through a bunch of different lists, and eventually at the end of the episode, she goes, I can't think of another word other than friends. It's so beautiful. And then they combine their attack, or they combine their powers. They unlock a new, what are they called? Sky tones?
The tone dials.
Tone dials is One Piece. I'm pretty sure they're called Sky tones.
Oh, Tone Connect.
Oh, okay, yeah. They get a new attack and a new little buy our merchandise charm that they can put in their PreCure stuff. They create like Updraft Rising or something, and it's a UFO abduction, which, okay. But they hold hands to summon this power, and then when they transform back, Sora says to Mashiro, "Can we hold hands a little longer?" Gay!
And then there's the audible hand clenching sound.
Yes!
Which I missed from Witchy PreCure.
Oh god, Witchy! See, this is what I'm talking about. That's how you know a season is good, is if how you know Joel will like a season is if I feel like the two girls are in a relationship and developing feelings and or a bond with each other. That makes it good. Witchy, this one, there's a bit of it in Princess and some of it in Kira Kira.
Well, and I want to touch on this a little bit because I don't want people to think that we're, putting adult relationships on a show for children. But I think one of the reasons we call this out when it happens is because what we're really looking for is these deeper connections between characters where they have a real and compelling relationship. And there is a point where friendship becomes so intense in TV that it just reads as romance.
Yeah, like Frodo and Sam, I think is the name of the other Hobbit. Like, a lot of people are like, wow, this really feels like they love each other. And like they do, but they do it in a friendship kind of way. I have a theory that because the first PreCure season was two magical girls and no one else, they didn't get a mid-season, they didn't get a third ally, it was just these two. They didn't really know each other and they grew closer and they held hands and a lot of people read romance into it. I think that it's baked into the very DNA that this series is at its strongest when they're working together, not just as like a team, but as they like actually legitimately have like super deep friendships. And we have a scene in Go Princess, to go back to that again, where Haruka says like, I want to keep fighting with you forever. And like, you don't get a lot of Haruka Manami like relationship, but like that one right there was just kind of like, oh my gosh. Star Twinkle, what's one of the saddest episodes when you think that Lala and Hikaru might have to not see each other again, which reads a lot like a breakup. Anything that approximates a romantic relationship, even if it is only friendship, is like All Might doing a really big punch in My Hero, you know?
Absolutely. And I'd be really curious to see if male fans of this series are more or less susceptible to that kind of emotional depth than female fans, just because women tend to have a significantly higher number of close relationships in their life, whereas men tend to have their romantic partner, and that's about it. Maybe
like
some friends.
One very good, like one best friend. But like, yeah, a lot of the guys I know in my life don't really have like 50 friends. The women I know have a lot more relationships, and the guys usually have like that one ride or die buddy.
Not to get too far off track, I had a really cute moment in an airport recently where I told some older guy, like my dad's age, I was like, hey, I really like your shirt. And he gets really confused for a second and he's like, oh, thank you. And I was like, yeah, I read somewhere that men don't get a lot of casual compliments. So I try to give them when I see something. And he was so happy. He was like, we don't get compliments like that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this is my message to you all out there. If you see a man doing something cool, nice compliments are always nice.
Of course. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, that was such a powerful note. I wish that could be like our final thought on Soaring Sky. I was just like, wow, look at how great this episode is. But I do have to mention Magical Baby Boat.
Magical Baby Boat.
So
the baby can fly now.
She can fly now.
I don't know if it's that her thing reminded me of a UFO, but when we saw their UFO attack, I was like, I feel like this is not the first time aliens have been referenced in this season. But I could not tell Joel where else they have been. So if any of you remember, like, I feel like we're on to something here. I think aliens are going to be important. Either that or it's just a throwback to Kira Kira. No, Star Twinkle.
Yeah, it might be a throwback to that. And I mean, like, what's flying higher than flying in the sky? Flying in space. So I kind of get it, but at the same time, it was a little strange. And it's also kind of creative because when they transform, they're on what looks kind of like an idle stage. And so a UFO is kind of like an upside down idle stage.
Okay.
But I thought it was kind of strange because, again, we thought that this might have been Kabaton's last episode. Telemon, who was like really like scouring the internet for, spoiler posts and like preview images and stuff, really suspected that this was going to be Kabaton's final performance. It's kind of strange that he was literally inside the Ramborg, and then it gets sucked into the purification attack, and he's still able to escape. I really thought he was going to try to Kabaton and disappear, but it wasn't going to work. Like, the door would be closed, and he'd be like, what? No! And then the purification would happen, and then next episode, this pig shows up, and it's Kabaton without any of his memories. A nice clean reset. That's not what they went with, but I'm still team Kabaton redemption, because he doesn't seem like a bad guy, he just seems stupid. Like, he just seems like he's being taken advantage of for his strength, and I think that if he was shown kindness, he could be a good guy.
He is trying to kidnap a baby.
Possibly eat it.
And that's wrong. But he could get better. He could apologize.
Listen, in real life, if you try to abduct someone else's baby, you're scum. Like, you are probably evil unless there's, like, some very extenuating circumstances. In a cartoon show, attempting to kidnap a baby, so long as you didn't actually kidnap the baby, that's forgivable. If he took Elle and was, like, putting her in a pot with boiling water, like, that's unforgivable. You've crossed the line there, Kabaton.
Is that Tiny Yurasanai?
Yes, but because he hasn't actually done anything, he's only threatened and suggested about eating the baby, there's still a path for redemption for him.
So what I'm hearing you say is Daffy did nothing wrong.
No, Daffy did actual bad stuff.
He never boiled a baby.
I'm not saying that's the only line that could be crossed. That's Kabaton's specific line. Moving on. Calls to adventure.
We have some new people throwing their thoughts in the ring.
Gosh. Can I just say really quick? I'm sorry. Last episode, I think it was literally the last episode. If it wasn't last, it was the episode before that. I said, and I'm not going to quote myself exactly, but something along the lines of, we don't have enough regular listeners that we have to cut content. Like, we will read every comment that we get because we're not getting so many. But this week, everyone's bringing their A game. AU, who usually only comments on the latest episode of Soaring Sky, had thoughts on all 3 series. James, who sometimes is too busy to watch the episode, he had thoughts on everything. Telemon is prolific in our Discord. He had thoughts on a lot of these episodes. And then we have 2 commenters who are not first-time writers, because we've already shouted out their comments in previous episodes. So this is the most number of fan comments we've ever gotten. And, oh my gosh, this is what it feels like for people to like us.
I love this. Thank you all so much for commenting. Anything with explicit spoilers in it, so stuff that we haven't covered yet on the episode, I'm probably not going to share, just because there are probably people out there who are watching along with us, and I don't want to ruin things for them.
For anyone who is, once again, this is the first episode you've ever listened to us and you don't know our policy, we do not watch the next time on PreCure images. There's usually only like 3 seconds of it, but we skip it anyways because we have a fun little game where we try to guess what the next episode is going to be about. We do look at the episode title because that might give us a hint, but to varying degrees of success. Sometimes it just directly tells us what the next episode is about, and we regret that.
Like Cure Prism is here.
Yeah,
exactly. Thanks, Toei. We also don't look at Cure names ahead of time if we can help it, although I know a lot of the ones for the seasons we're watching, and I try to avoid leaks as much as I can. So, like, toy leaks or whatever.
Yeah, we'd prefer to get it from the official source, essentially.
Absolutely. That being said, I really liked a comment we got on YouTube from Snooker. He said that both of these seasons, I assume he means Soaring Sky and Happiness Charge, show off why he likes duos so much. And I agree, like we were talking about, I think those deeper relationships really contribute to my enjoyment of a series. It makes me want to root for the girls as a team.
Absolutely. It's so funny because when we've covered previous episodes, previous seasons, I've been like, man, why are they throwing us, Precious episode 1, Sandwich episode 2, and Ramen episode 3? Like, why can't we just have some episodes where it's like them growing as a team? And now we've got that with Soaring Sky. We're on episode 5, and we haven't even gotten a single hint to the next Cure, even though the opening and closing shows 4 of them. And it's kind of funny because part of me is kind of like, man, can we just get to the next Cure? It's like, no, Joel. When you have seasons where you get the next Cure immediately, you want it to take longer, and now that it's taking longer, you're complaining? No. Be consistent.
Be consistent. And Snooker commented on that as well with Kira, where the first set of episodes was, hey, here's 5 people who are all magic people.
Absolutely. There was a There was a thread going along, and there's actually been a couple of different versions of it, but some big Twitter people have been asking, if you could cut any story arc from this show, which would you cut? And they've been focusing on a lot of Magical Girl anime, or maybe the people I follow have only been responding to the Magical Girl questions. But the Ivanhoe, who does not usually directly contribute to this episode, but we quote a lot because he's a really smart guy, he was like, I would cut that early episode where it's the first 3 Kira girls trying to make churros, because it just didn't feel right to him. It's been a while since I've seen that specific episode, but like, I would agree that Kira is like, it's like rapid fire getting all of the cures, and the one episode we have that was supposed to be a breather wasn't the best breather. You know, Soaring Sky is nailing it. We've had a bunch of episodes.
The pacing in this is amazing.
Yes. Absolutely.
Also, you should be happy. The Ivanhoe also said he'd cut out Pekarin.
Absolutely,
and give more to Kiririn.
Yeah, Kiririn and
Pikario.
Okay, I was about to say, I know there's 2 fairies whose names are kind of similar, but anyways, this is not a Kira PreCure a la mode podcast.
We did one of those. It's 8 hours long. You should watch it.
I think it's on our YouTube. It will be eventually. We're uploading our bonus episodes very, very, very slowly. Okay, so what else do we have from Snooker? So, Snooker really liked the relationship between Sora and Mashiro, and then also Sora's like being an active member of the community. There are some PreCure who feel reactive. That's why I don't like Nagisa. It feels very much so like she's like, oh, why is this happening to me? Why do I have to save the world? It's like, just save the world. You have magic powers. But, you know, we agree that Sora is very proactive, and I love that.
Absolutely. And he commented on how Mashiro stands out as a more active, shy PreCure. So she's reserved in her relationships, but she's still, like, ready to do stuff. And I honestly don't even think it's that she's shy. I just think my girl has no friends.
Yeah, we've talked about that previously.
I think she'd be ready to throw down, as seen in this episode when she was like, let's start hero training, Sora. Let's go running every day. She just hasn't had the opportunity.
Of course, yeah.
I really liked Telamon's reaction to the special duo attack.
Yes.
Which was, the dual team supers an alien abduction? What the I mean, yeah. Why is it? We don't know.
It feels different than a lot of the other vibes that we've gotten from this season so far. Do you predict that the next... Okay. I think that if we get 2 more cures, as seems to be indicated by the opening and the closing, I assume that they're each going to have their own individual attacks. And then I assume that there's going to be a 4-person attack. And I also think that maybe there might be a second duo attack. There might be a duo that's Sora and Mashiro, and then another duo between these other 2 characters. Do you think that the alien or space theme will continue, or do you think this is a one-off? It feels like a one-off to me.
I think it's going to be a one-off, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Because what if that's, like, related to what the bad guy's about somehow?
Maybe.
Because the bad guy can make wormholes.
Yeah, we should say that for correct theories. That's not really related to these calls to adventure that we're talking about. But my vibe is that we're going to get more music themed. And again, I think the reason they went with a spaceship, other than the cool factor, I think this season they're trying to go with the cool factor a little bit, but is because it looks like a stage upside down. So I think we're going to get more musical related. Maybe the next one will have like a rock guitar attack, like Ember from Danny Phantom.
I love that. Speaking of characters in this show, for no particular reason, Birdwatch, where's the bird?
Bird's here. Bird's sleeping. I got a screenshot of that bird. Don't know why the camera keeps zooming in on that bird, who's the same color as one of the cures.
Mystery orange bird with a pink necktie. That can't be important.
Oh my goodness. Let's look at some of the other thoughts that we get from Telemon about Soaring Sky. Apparently, there are leaks out there. I think AU has been alluding to this as well. I think there's been a leak since before the first episode aired about potentially, if there is a midseason, who it is. Please, for the love of Kururun, our Lord in Heaven, do not talk to us about the leaks. I want it to be a fun, exciting surprise, not a, when is that tree in the background going to turn into a person and be our green cure for the season?
Not that we are upset with Telemon.
No. Yeah, I'm sorry.
He hasn't told us anything, like, specific. We're just saying in general, right? We don't want to talk about the leaks. But part of this thought, when he was talking about, like, oh, I wonder who could be other cures, he said he'd love to see Kabaton do a turn and become a PreCure.
Absolutely.
And, like, cure Kabaton is hilarious to me to imagine.
Yeah. I also, sorry, we didn't talk about this in the episode description, but at one point Kabaton says something like, I hate these underhanded tricks, and I can't remember who it was from. I think it was, Here Prism did like a solar flare attack from Dragon Ball Z that kind of blinded him. Kabaton, you use underhanded tactics all the time. What is wrong with you? I think he probably wanted to be a hero and he got bullied, and then he became what he is today, and he's going to rekindle that passion somewhere down the line after the crocodile guy beats him up or something.
What if he just, like, runs his own gym?
Yeah. Or his own Odin shop. He could be like a
Chongi-Ray?
Chongi-Ray. I couldn't remember exactly what his full name was. Yeah.
That's 2 Chongi-Ray references in a row. And I just want to say, someone was saying they thought Ulrich the Wolf from Smile PreCure and Kabaton should make out. I'm going to throw into the ring, Chongi-Ray and Kabaton could make out. Chongi-Ray could cook for Kabaton, and Kabaton could be the hardworking salaryman husband.
Look, I don't want to come across as crab-phobic. I imagine being held in the arms of a crab and the pinches. Like,
Listen,
no.
Joel, you just have to embrace the fact that Chongi-Ray is a male wife.
I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying... That is a known fact. That is lore here at Cure of the What Now Hi-Ya. I'm just saying.
I wish we could end the episode on Chongi-Ray as a male wife, but we do have a couple of other thoughts. There's one on YouTube from Emmanuel Nikwe, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, that I'm going to save for a later episode because it is related to some later stuff. But
absolutely.
I hear you out there, and I will cover your thoughts.
Manuel, I hope that you heard us mention earlier that we will be covering Hugtail eventually. It won't be next, but maybe we could be talked into accelerating our episodes or something in order to get to Hugtail. I'm really excited to cover it, but in its due time.
It's funny, too, because we were like, we're not going to do the anniversary seasons until we've seen all the seasons that come before. But I mean, we're doing Happiness Charge now, so.
Absolutely. And we're doing Soaring Sky now, but we have to cover the latest episode, or the latest season. That's just journalistic integrity. Telemon also noticed that a connection between the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the 4 cures that we have right now. And I mean, he didn't say anything about the 2 future cures, but you do notice that there's 4 in one team, 4 in another. He believes that Ageha will be another cure, which seems pretty obvious to me. And so you could kind of see Telemon is saying that Mashiro kind of reminds him of Raphael and Leonardo. Sora and Mashiro, Raphael and Leonardo.
And Master Splinter is Grandma Yo-Yo.
Okay, I like it. Now, I gotta be honest here. I watched one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series when I was younger. It had some really cool episodes. But I know the red one's Raphael, and his personality is kind of aggressive and angry, and he's kind of very direct to the point where he might like hurt himself or others around him by being too direct. I know that the orange one is Michelangelo. He's the goofy one. He's the funny one. I like him the best because he makes me laugh. The other 2, Donatello and Leonardo, one of them is blue and one of them is purple. I could not tell you which one is which. One of them is a leader and one of them is a tech guy.
Listen.
Yeah.
Leonardo is the leader. He's blue.
Oh, Leonardo leader. Okay, I get that. Absolutely. Yeah. I still couldn't tell you what their personalities are, though, is the thing.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, Leonardo wants to be the bossy britches, and Donatello is just cool with being on his computer.
Leonardo.
I agree that they are the least distinct from one another. Telemon could probably be like, no, this is what they're about. I haven't watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in a long time. It's weird because I have, like, nostalgic memories like I do for Sonic, but I don't remember ever actually like watching it consistently. I think it's something my cousins might have watched while I was around.
Absolutely. Kind of like how you thought that there was a man with a butt for a face in One Piece, but that was actually ultimate muscle.
Ultimate muscle.
Okay.
You thought you turned my arms into lemons.
Catherine?
Listening.
Do you want to get through these thoughts from the crew, or do you want to just like talk about any random thing for the next hour or so.
Well, I mean, I think I have a podcast, so I can talk about any random thing for an hour or so.
Okay, well, we're already an hour into this episode, so
let's get
do
through
you
some
prefer
thoughts.
Ultimate Muscle or do you prefer Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? If we're going to do a bonus episode, which of the two would you rather cover?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay, absolutely. Why?
Because I want to know if the nostalgia holds up.
Okay, absolutely. I will say, if you're a fan of representation, the purple one, who is Donatello, you just explained this to me, I believe that he's coded to be more autistic in recent seasons. I've seen some video essays that I haven't watched because I don't watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but talking about Donatello's character being different now than it was before and that kind of a thing, and how it's cool.
I have one more thought on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles before we move on.
Okay.
I have a unified theory here, all right? You are either a Sonic the Hedgehog neurodivergent or a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles neurodivergent.
You don't think that they get along on any level?
No, I'm sure they get along, but like one is your series, you know what I mean? So like as a neurodivergent person myself, if I had to pick one to self-identify with, of course it would be Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sure.
Knuckles is my boy. But, you know,
Knuckles and Raphael, kind of same character archetypes, actually.
Yeah, both.
I could see them getting along.
The other thing about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I think crosses over well with PreCure is that it's basically American Sentai.
Yeah, I mean, it was written to be a parody of Sentai, and they went into space, and there are space rhinos called the Triceratons. It gets crazy.
Forgot that it was originally parody.
Yeah. There's also, I've mentioned this before, but there's a comic of a single turtle who is alive after unknown events, and the other three have been killed, and you don't know which of the turtles it is that survived, and they use all four weapons, and their bandana has been, like, turned to black because it's been so long.
Cool.
And it plays the mystery up of, A, what happened, B, who is the survivor, and, like, what is their goal.
And then Batman shows up, and they fight, but then they realize they both have experienced loss, and they hug it out.
Have you seen that comic, or that panel that goes around social media of Batman saying, "This is where my parents died," to Raphael, which is actually canon? They've actually crossed over before?
No, I haven't seen
Okay,
that.
well, they've crossed over, Batman and Raphael.
I'm a genius. I just want to comment on James, that one welder guy, one of his thoughts really quick. He says, Hime, you can't live off pancakes and honey candy. James, you can if you're not a coward. Don't judge Hime and Mai's lifestyle.
I will say, too, I think I mentioned offhandedly that I feel like each of the transformations in battle are kind of like a different emotion. So the flamenco is kind of like passion or like anger, and that's like red hot. And then the macadamia is kind of like this relaxed form. Do you, off the top of your head, know what emotion you would attribute to the swan alabasque burlesque or whatever it's called?
Oh, man, I mean, you can't really use peace because that's what the macadamia one is. Maybe like contentment?
Okay, sure, absolutely.
What about hip hop? What's that feeling? Yo, yo, yo.
That's when you've you've downed like 15 pixie sticks and it's an hour past your bedtime and you're going to stay up till 2 a.m. with your bestie. You're just playing Backstreet Boys and Spice Girls and playing Banjo-Kazooie. That's not a specific memory that I have or anything like that. Okay, so let's go rapid fire. James made a very funny joke about my being an archaeologist in quotes, which means that all of the treasures around her house are stolen artifacts, but AU did helpfully point out that all of her artifacts are actually native to Japan. I don't know about Japan's history specifically, but I don't think they've had as many cultural changes as, say, like the Americas, or, I mean, I guess the Americas includes the South and Central America as well.
Here's something interesting about Japan. They do have an indigenous minority that currently faces some level of oppression in modern society. Wow. I don't know any more details than that, so please don't ask me any questions, but you can Google it.
Absolutely. It seems like almost every place has some kind of indigenous people that aren't doing so well because the history of the world kind of went a certain way for a while there. But,
yeah, I mean, in like 2,000 years, like what we consider indigenous to, say, the Americas probably will have shifted considerably.
Yeah, probably. I also really like James's thought on the Splash Star episode. Paper is technically wood, so ha! When Karahan created a bunch of books. And I just love the idea of Karahan, like, doing research. Like, he's on a computer, like, looking up, like, what's the connection between wood and beaches so that I can control the sand when the girls are on their beach episode.
Karahan is kind of a sassy bitch, not gonna lie. Like, he does seem very amused to be like, haha, you thought you defeated me by being somewhere where there wasn't any wood around, but you failed to realize that sap is made from trees, so I'm now controlling your honey candies.
Absolutely. I like James's Hime, you're not a cat. Just because someone offers you candy does not mean that you should befriend them. And honestly, good thing that Yuko is the same age and friendly, because if it was like someone who was like 5 years older and maybe owned a van, that would be creepy. That would be a different series.
Is that how Blue got a hold of Hime? He just offered her candy? Hime, get out of there!
He's at the college and he's sitting at like a PreCure club and he's trying to entice other members, and he's just like, and then he puts out a sign that says free candy, and Hime runs over. Can I be a PreCure? Yes.
Oh, no.
James also... I somehow forgot to include some of James's thoughts from previous episodes. So in episode 4, when Hime was having her anxiety attacks about going to school, James just also really liked that it was very realistic. And hell yeah, I like the PreCure episodes that feel like they're directly applicable to life. But I also like the ones where they fight a metaphorical giant sea monster, you know?
Absolutely. And I like the episodes where they give Ageha a metal bat. She deserves it.
Any day now, she's going to show up.
I love Ageha. She is my gal. She's my girl. But I wanted so badly for her to be mean. And she seems really nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ayu did point out something kind of important about Ageha. She's going to vocational school, which means that, you know, she's in her final year of high school, so she might not be around for a little while.
Which she said between last episode and this episode, and in this episode, what's Mashiro doing? She's writing a letter to her friend. Shouldn't have to write a letter to your friend if she's in town. So yeah, it seems like Ageha made an appearance, said, I'll be a cure later, and then left. And so we have to wait till she comes back before we'll get whatever she transforms into.
Absolutely. Something we didn't point out, but Ayu did, was they did a really good job with the cinematography in this episode of Soaring Sky, like showing the two girls being physically distant and having gaps in between them. So for example, there's a scene where they're each on different buildings.
Yes.
And as they talk, it keeps zooming out to show how far apart they are.
Yeah, and it happens at the beginning of the episode, well, near the middle of the episode, when Sora crosses the road and Mashiro's on the other side, when Sora's like, you shouldn't transform anymore, and it kind of shows the disconnect between them. There's a specific animator or someone who worked on this episode that helped create that kind of cinematography and stuff. Yeah, it looks like it's Akira Inagami, and I'm pretty sure I pronounced that correctly, who was also the character designer of the first 3 seasons. So he's the person, or I think Akira is a boy's name, it could also be a girl's name, but this person is responsible for all of the orange-haired lead cures.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for them. I also want to call out a thought about happiness charge. Apparently there was merch of all the little different cards that they could get.
Like the cook card and the ninja card and the detective card.
And the one for cook said cock on it because that's how the word is pronounced in Japanese. I'm sure they corrected that as soon as somebody was like, hey, this is your English department. You need to change that.
Gosh, but isn't that funny that, like, sometimes the way that words are translated into Japanese, for example, the word for Paris literally does not have the Su character that they would use if they're directly translating the S, because they know that it's pronounced Paris, so they didn't translate it. They just left it out. It's just Paris, 2 characters. That's amazing.
Yes.
AU was also excited about what a gay episode. I think we've covered that in depth, but I think that AU is also team the closer the relationship, the better the episode. Honestly.
Absolutely. She's commented on, like, Saki liking Mai's older brother, for example, and was just like, I really don't think that much about it. She's not really interested in the male love interests.
Right. Well, and I mean... So I'm going to guess, we've only seen up to 5 episodes, but I'm going to guess that the crush on the older brother is basically done now. Like, Saki is going to, if she shows any kind of interest or relationship deepening, it'll be with Kenta. It makes sense that she'd be hot for an older guy. I know that happens to a lot of people that age, girls and boys, depending on, you know, you see someone older and you're like, oh, I really like them, you know, it's a common experience, but you also get over it pretty quickly because they're not gonna date. There's like a 6-year age difference.
Admiration easily turns into infatuation. Absolutely. AU also asked about our thoughts on this fairy sneezing the cards out of her back. So listen, we saw Heartcatch, and we saw fairies pooping the little beads they got at the end of every fight, we went, this is wrong. This is morally incorrect. And then in this season, they've got the fairy going, rub it, please! And you rub her little nose and she sneezes and the cards come out. I'm fine with the sneezing and the cards. I'm not fine with the rub it.
Yeah, the please rub it feels kind of, it feels like you could easily translate that into another environment that is not appropriate for PreCure. However, the sneeze is adorable, and they say hap chew, which is very close to happiness chart. Oh my god, the sneeze is better than the pooping.
Absolutely. Everything's better than pooping.
Anything, well, no, I'm just kidding.
Good on you for not finishing that thought. Joel, I was all ready to move on to, our crack theories and everything for next week, but were there a couple of other calls to adventure you wanted to shout out before we move on?
I will point out that AU did comment the same way. Well, actually, I think you and I talked about this off mic when we watched episode 5 of Splash Star, but I noticed that Yuko's family name is like
Happiness Charge, not Splash Star.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, Yuko's family last name.
Yuko's family last name, Omori, and I looked at that and I've done a little bit of Duolingo of Japanese, and I was like, doesn't O mean like big? Like you would use it as like an adjective or a way to specify like a big plate, and AU psychically linked with me and knew that I had made that observation because they pointed out that, yes, Omori is basically a pun off of, like, a giant-sized plate, and it relates to the family's, like, food and that kind of a thing. Rabarin speaks in really ladylike Japanese, something that I would never notice because I don't speak Japanese.
I'm so sorry to do this to you twice in a row. Do you mean ribbon?
What did I say?
Rabarin?
Okay, yeah, the one from Happiness Charge, who's also from Splash Star, because they're all connected. Just let me take these strings and connect the different character sheets on the corkboard. Ribbon speaks very feminine, very formal Japanese, something that the fan subs did not capture very well, but which is interesting to note.
I want to hear Ribbon say Gokigenyo.
Absolutely.
Before we move on, do you want to include the Sora Mashiro, can we hold hands a little while longer, for most touching scene for the PreCure Awards at the end of the season?
Yes, thank you for reminding me about that.
I'm a good wife!
As a reminder to anyone watching, please, we want your submission for cutest moment, funniest moment, saddest moment. And then there's also there's an award each season for who has the best outfit, both in civilian form and in transformation form. So there's going to be one for who has the best PreCure transformation or the best look, but who has the best civilian look, and that can include, in this case, the Splash Star, the Happiness outfits. So if you really liked the way that Hime looks as a ninja or a cook, or you like the way that Megumi looks as a detective or a rollerblade girl, those are also candidates to keep in mind.
Absolutely. I'm going to throw this out there, not even as a theory, or a crack theory, as a legitimate observation. The trans flag is all over Soaring Sky PreCure. It's on Mashiro's outfit. It's on Baby Elle's little bow. Mm-hmm. There was a flag or something in the background that had it at one point.
Their new dual tone connects, or whatever they're called, are also blue and pink to represent the two Kyras, but also how curious.
Yeah, so this season says trans rights, so if you don't like that, I guess don't watch this season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, I have two crack theories, one of which just kind of like came to me in the middle of watching the Happiness Charge episode. What if Blue is not actually a god? What if he's an alien parasite that feeds off of the bonds that we create with people, kind of like Stephen King's It, or a slightly different version of Stephen King.
If that were true, why would love be illegal?
Maybe he knows that by forbidding it, that's actually going to be the thing that happens.
He's reverse psychologying these teenagers into kissing.
Absolutely. Also, okay, so this isn't a crack theory, but did you notice that in the opening, you see a girl who looks normal, and then she cries, and then the tear turns into the tattoo, and then she becomes the evil queen, and then the camera zooms slightly to the right, and Blue is watching her and kind of holds out his hand to her, so like, Blue doesn't want people to break up because he caused the villain who is currently destroying the city.
That's what I said in a previous episode. Like,
I didn't see that part in the opening. That completely backs up your theory.
Oh, gotcha. Yep. No, I think that he completely forgot an anniversary or something, was not giving his girl enough attention. Blue, get your house in order. You want to walk around calling yourself God, calling yourself Kami-sama, but you can't even make your woman happy? I don't think so.
Absolutely. Now, are you basically all done with your thoughts and all that?
I would say I'm approaching my final thoughts.
Well, okay, so I have the last crack theory, and I think I want this to be what sends us off, if that's okay.
That's fine. We didn't name next week's episode.
I didn't write down what next week's episode is called.
Then this will be our final thought, and we'll just have to wonder.
Yeah, absolutely. So, here we go. We have seen that Karihan uses facts and logic, the two pillars of Western civilization, in order to determine what he's going to turn into his Uzaina.
Yes.
So, here's what Karihan's ultimate attack is going to be. He keeps being chewed out for, this is your final chance. I think he's going to die at the same time that Kabaton does. I think we stumbled again upon an accidental connection between the series we're watching. But, if he's given one, really, no backsies this time, final chance, he is going to create an Uzaina that is human-shaped. Now, you might be wondering, are humans plants? No, not particularly. Are there plants that grow in the shape of humans? I don't think so. Steven Universe had watermelons like that, but that's because of weird Steven Universe powers. I think we've all heard the story about eating watermelon seeds causes the watermelon to grow inside of you. He's going to find a child that ate a watermelon seed. He's going to use the vines to wrap around their body. He's going to puppet them, and that's going to be his final Uzaina.
Holy shit. And that has been your doot final thought. Outro goes here.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and don't forget, have some fish to balance out those pancakes.
No. Pancakes and candy only.
Bye. Re-recording. Not re-recording, just an additional thought. I wanted to talk about this. I forgot. Catherine, are you okay? Can we get back in the spaceship?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm ready.
Okay, perfect.
I'm feeling Kiriyaba.
The fact that Kabaton's boss is a woman is interesting. We don't know anything about this hero that saves Sora. We don't know anything about this. It wasn't called an enchanted forest. What was it? The evil forest or something like that? So I've seen some people wondering if the hero character would actually be a bad guy. Or maybe the hero character could be Yo-Yo, who's in disguise for some reason. I think it would be interesting if the character that Sora looks up to is actually a bad guy who might have once been a hero, but maybe turned evil. Why would a hero turn evil? Maybe this hero didn't have allies, didn't have friends. She didn't have a Mashiro like Sora does. Maybe there will be some kind of temptation, some kind of sword, this sword can cut through any evil, but you can only wield it alone, so you can't have any friends. And Sora will struggle with that, but Mashiro will be like, please, hold my hand, we'll do it together. And then they'll find a way to beat the bad guy without using the ultimate sword.
Absolutely. No, as soon as you said, she's a woman, I went, okay, we're going in a she could be the hero direction. Why would the hero turn evil? I don't think it's that she didn't have allies. I think she had Sora's same, the hero has to stand alone. And then she became so isolated that it made her bitter.
Yeah, you could also go the Megas XLR route, in which we find out there's an alternate version of Coop, who basically got so, addicted to fighting that even after he beat I can't remember what the Empire was called, but he basically turned evil. I don't see that being a PreCure thing, a hero who loves fighting so much that they become, bloodthirsty or anything like that. The other possibility, instead of A, I don't have friends, or B, I had friends but I pushed them away, option C, I had friends and they died and I became jaded or something like that. Maybe the ultimate evil is one that this hero character could not defeat.
I love that.
But they do have occasional moments of saving small children because they're not completely lost to darkness. And then Sora's going to show up and they're going to be like, oh no, I created my worst enemy who's going to try to save me. Oh, she's lecturing me now. I've never heard the hero's lecture. I did this 50 years ago before you were even born. Don't talk to me like that.
And that has been your final thought.
For realsies this time.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Podcast Time here at Cure of the What Now. Please remember to take a moment to rate and review us wherever you get your podcast from. If you want to chat more, you can find me at Pirate Ghost Host on Twitter.
And you can find me at KOTWN_pod. The link to our Discord is in my bio. You can join us for streams, games, and weekly discussions. Bye!
Stay heroic!